So, hi everyone. Here, Tommy Walker again, the mind engineer, and today we're going to talk about why we might fall into rebellion. I'm going to explain a little bit more what does this mean, because it can be a little bit ambiguous, okay? But I want to go deeper with this subject that I feel that is going to help many of you understand a bit more. And what I wrote down here, many of you have already heard, how we go from authoritarianism into permissiveness. We go from one place to another, fighting to try to make changes. And actually we need more energy. We end up exhausted when we're fighting with ourselves, moving from one place to another. So I want to address this today so that it helps you guys start making changes in your life. So what I see a lot with different people that, come to me to talk to me or even work with me is that they have these different instances in their life where they might go to the gym a lot and then suddenly stop going, entirely. They start doing a diet and then suddenly they find themselves eating a lot. They start trying to change something and suddenly, boom, they stop that, going to personal development, meditation, doing whatever it is that you're doing. Suddenly you stop doing what you're doing. So I want to talk about what is really going on in your mind and how to start addressing that correctly. So thank you very much. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Mary, for being here. Richard and Romana, I already said, just in case. And hey, Greg, thank you for being on Facebook. If you're watching on social media, #live will be great, guys, or #replay if you're watching replay. Remember, the more you engage with this, more people get to see it. We get more people to know all these things, to learn about these tools that I'm offering, even for free here in social media, so we can help more and more people. So thank you very much. Hi, Regina. Thank you. So, is easy. What do you mean that, Romana? Extrinsic? Maybe because motivation is easy. I don't know what you mean exactly with that, but and not internal. Yeah. Most of the times people are looking for motivation on the outside, but it doesn't have to do exactly with the motivation. It has to do with what's going on inside of us, guys. And I want to show that in a second with this, let me see, with this picture I want to share with you guys. Okay, so let me share the screen for a second. Share screen, here we go, boom. So perfect, I want to share this with you guys, yes? Why personal development might not be working for you or any type of work that you're doing, whether it is going to the gym, guys, whether it is starting a diet, whether it is whatever that you're struggling with, has to do with this that you're seeing here, guys, what I call the pendulum. Yes, I'm going to make it, sorry, a little bit smaller. There we go. So what many people go through is they start learning that it's good for them to, do some weight loss, exercises, going to the gym, reading more, maybe personal development, right? And they come to that from an authoritarian angle. What does that mean? That they push themselves to do something when they're not actually connecting with what's going on inside of them. So imagine this, guys. And I spoke of this a lot, but I want to connect it even more. When I eat, maybe I'm eating not because just I'm hungry, because I'm trying to use food to cover up whatever pain I might have inside of me. So imagine that I feel lonely and I use food, right, to cover up the loneliness a little bit, to feel not so lonely. Or I eat because I like to be seen big, because when I feel because I feel that when I'm big, I'm going to be seen. So I'm going to feel loved. And we need to understand that the mind has made associations around everything, guys, seriously, about everything, around money, around love, around success, around failure, around rejection, around everything. The mind has put a story to that word. So in many cases, that story is a negative story. So if I'm eating, if I'm doing drugs, if I'm using sex, if I'm using porn, if I'm using reading, if I'm using running, if I'm using, going to the gym as a cover-up of my emotions, when I have to do something like going into diet to help me lose some weight, because maybe I'm overweight and now the doctor found, that I'm having, I don't know, high blood pressure, or I might have a heart attack if I keep going down this road. Out of fear, guys, out of authoritarianism, there you go, Yes, you might not see it right, because of the color. Let me see if I can change the color a second so it makes more sense, right? Here we go. So from this side, if I start trying to eat healthier, right, because I want not to die, as we were speaking last time, as we were speaking about the, Dickens method, right? We go into authoritarianism, into a diet to try not to die, or because the doctor told us we have to. Unfortunately, we're doing from the wrong reasons. Yes, I'm doing from the pendulum up here from authoritarianism. When I do it from authoritarianism, what's going to happen is I'm going to need a lot of energy to try to keep that going. And eventually, as the pendulum moves from side to side, eventually the pendulum is going to go to the other side, guys. And as we see here, what we see is being permissive. What does permissive look like? Permissive looks like you guys not doing the diet anymore, not taking care of your body anymore. Why do we fall into this? Again, because it's a protective mechanism. Yes, we're pushing ourselves to do something, right, without understanding why we're doing it in the first place. Maybe, again, as I was saying, you're eating because you feel lonely. You're eating because you're protecting yourself not to numb your feelings or whatever. So if I push myself to stop eating, the mind eventually might go into permissiveness, into rebellion, as a way to go back to your old habits, because you're not really addressing the root cause. You're only addressing the surface problem. The surface problem could be any type of addiction. It could be alcohol. It could be, again, eating. It could be drinking, as I said. It could be drugs. It could be sex. It could be reading. It could be running. It could be going to the gym. Whatever we're doing, guys, to cover up the pain could be an addiction. So if we force ourselves to try to achieve a result, right, through authoritarianism, where we push ourselves to stop eating, we push ourselves to stop drinking, we might be able to do it, guys, don't get me wrong. But many times this is when people have fallbacks. They fall into, again, permissiveness, where they stop, taking care of their body. They start drinking again. They start doing drugs again, or whatever. They're not really addressing the root cause. So the idea of this is understanding why we fall into that rebellion mode. It is the mind saying, I had enough. I feel lonely. As you push me to stop eating, I feel more lonely. So you might be able to achieve it for a while, maybe a month, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe 6 months, maybe a year or more. Eventually, the mind is going to say, I'm done with this. And it's going to go to the opposite side of the pendulum, to permissiveness. And we fall into what is called rebellion. I would like you guys to share in the chat if this is something you have gone through, where you tried to accomplish something and suddenly you fell into rebellion and stopped doing whatever you were doing, that even if it was good for you, you stopped doing it. So type a 1 in the chat, guys, if you have found yourself. Yes, there you go, one coming in. It happens to everyone, guys, because we're doing it from the wrong intention. Remember, what I talk about all the time is developing the right intention. So intention is everything, guys. Let me change the color so you can see it. Give me 1 second. Yes, intention, sorry, intention. Here we go. Intention is key for everything, guys. If I'm going to go to the gym because I have the intention that I'm going to feel better about myself, right? Out of fear, out of not feeling that nobody's going to love me because I'm overweight or whatever, it is the wrong intention. So you might be able to hold it for a little bit through this right side of the pendulum, authoritarianism, where I push myself to go to the gym, but I'm not actually doing it from a loving place. So if there's a part of me that doesn't feel loved, that doesn't feel supported, that doesn't feel understood, and I push myself through authoritarianism, right, to do something, even if it goes against that protective mechanism, I might be able to override it for a little bit, guys, but eventually I'm going to fall back into permissiveness. I'm going to fall back into rebellion, and I'm going to stop doing what's good for me. Why? Because the mind gets fed up, the mind fights back, and eventually, normally, most people are going to go back to their old habits. So the idea is to understand this, that I'm sharing this over here, guys. I have the authoritarian way, we have the permissive, and in the middle, we have the right intention being out of love. What does that mean? I know it sounds a little bit corny, but I have a part of me that has learned, me as a kid, that eating numbs the pain. It helps me feel better about myself. So if I want to take that away, it's like saying, if somebody is about to beat you up and you have, I don't know, something to protect you, I want you to put the shield down. No, I have a shield. I'm not going to bring the shield down, because if not, this person is going to beat me up. So you're telling that part of you to bring the shield down and be allowed to be beaten up, because that's what you're supposed to do. So maybe the mind might accept it. To some people that it happens, they start changing, they stop drinking, they stop doing drugs, they stop doing whatever addiction, but eventually they fall back. And if not, the other thing that I've seen many times, guys, is they move from one addiction to another. So suddenly they stop drinking and now they start working harder. They stop drinking and now they stop eating. They stop eating, now they start going to the gym, and it turns into an addiction. So hasn't that happened before to you guys, that you were able to stop doing something that maybe wasn't good for you, but now you find yourself doing another addiction? It could be, spending hours on social media, and then the day went by and you're like, oh shoot, 2 hours went by and I scrolled on social media, or I saw, instead of just seeing one or two, I don't know, one movie, or seeing 1 or 2 episodes of your special, thing that you look online, you spent, 5 or 10 of seeing, I don't know, those episodes or whatever you like. So you go, look, Romana, from overeating to the gym and walking in an obsessive way. You see, we all go, guys, normally from one addiction to another, from a negative addiction to something that is not so negative, like going to the gym, meditation, working, or whatever, but it's still maybe a disconnect. So the idea, guys, to not go from one place to another, or to be able to staying away from eating, staying away from alcohol, staying away from whatever, is understanding what is underneath that. So the question is, instead of beating yourself up because you have this addiction, or you're falling into rebellion, asking yourself, why am I falling into rebellion? What is my intention in the first place that I'm trying to stop doing what I'm doing? Stop drinking, stop eating, going to the gym, meditation, yoga, personal development, whatever. The other day I saw on Tony Robbins' group a person saying, I went to UPW, it helped me a lot, I felt so great. And then after a couple of days, I don't want to have anything to do with personal development. This person felt really bad about personal development, that they wanted to walk away. They knew it was good for them, but they were rebelling because they had been doing it from the wrong intention, guys. So what I want to help you, and we've been doing this together, is developing that self-love, understanding, why am I feeling like this? Why am I using alcohol? Why am I using drugs? Why am I using social media? What am I numbing myself from? What am I protecting myself from? See it as more like a friend and not the enemy, guys. Remember, whatever addiction is a protective mechanism. So it's protecting me from feeling negative. So we don't have to beat up that addiction because we're beating ourselves up. I wouldn't go and beat up my kid because they did something wrong. I would try to understand why they did it, why they chose to do what they did, right? And try to help them change. Why would we do that to a kid and we don't do it to ourselves? So if I'm falling into whatever addiction is, okay, how am I feeling? Maybe I'm feeling sad. Maybe I'm feeling lonely. Maybe I'm feeling angry. Maybe I'm feeling shame. Maybe I'm feeling something negative that I need to deal with it instead of just pushing it away. So instead of falling into authoritarianism, where I just tell myself that I'm not allowed to do this anymore, it's like telling yourself, guys, to stop breathing. Would you really stop breathing? If I tell you right now, guys, stop breathing, would you stop breathing? Yes or no? Type it in the chat. I know it's a stupid question, guys, but I want you to type it in the chat. Would you stop breathing? No. Of course, no, you wouldn't stop breathing because you know that you can die if you stop breathing. What if I tell you that the addiction that you have created, whatever it is like breathing for you guys. It is like breathing. It's protecting you guys. So if you tell yourself to stop through authoritarianism, to stop doing something, you are in a way going against that protective mechanism. So you're fighting that protective mechanism. So if that protective mechanism is there to protect you because you don't feel loved, if I attack that protective mechanism, I'm feeling myself less, I'm going to make myself feel less loved. And that is wrong. So the idea is to understand, okay, why do I need to go to the gym from a loving place, right? Start going maybe once a week to the gym, twice a week to the gym, not every day, right? Okay, why do I need to go? Why am I not going? Another question. Why is it that I have a hard time going to the gym? Oh, because my body hurts. Yes, I get it, but that's not the truth, guys. There's a deeper reason why you might not be going to the gym, why you might be having, I don't know, or chocolate or alcohol or drugs or cigarettes or whatever it is that you're falling into, guys. There is always a protective mechanism behind it. So I need to understand what's going on. I need to understand what is the connection that I have done between my addiction, right, and how it's helping me. What is the connection there? And that's, guys, what I help people do that connection. How do we start doing that connection? Because you might ask, okay, Tommy, how do I do that? First question, guys, how am I feeling? How am I feeling? Connecting with our emotions, guys, even the negative ones. Many women say they feel uncomfortable in the gym. Exactly. Then we start with their self-image. They might feel fat, they might feel bad, whatever, about their body, themselves. So they don't want to go to the gym. So it has to do with their self-image and how they are treating themselves, Romana, you see? So if I push that woman to go to the gym, she doesn't feel loved in the first place. And that's why maybe she started putting weight on to protect herself. You know, having fat in the body could be a protective mechanism, right? Feeling protected on the outside. It's wrong, of course, but in the mind, it could be. So if I push them to stop, you know, eating and going to the gym, unfortunately, I'm making that person love themselves less. If that person loves themselves less, they're not going to be able to do what they're supposed to do. And comparing, there you go, Suzanne, too. Thank you very much. So we need to explore what is the intention behind the protective mechanism. And that is the intention of love. I start understanding why is it that I'm falling into these protective mechanisms. Because again, if I don't explore into understanding the connection that I'm doing with this protective mechanism, addiction, right? And I force myself to try to change, eventually what's going to happen, and most of you wrote it over here, guys, we're going to fall back, we're going to rebel. The mind is going to say, I'm done with it, I cannot do this anymore. I don't feel it. I feel even more pain because, as I said, maybe the addiction is to numb the pain, but now you're pushing yourself to stop that addiction, so it's bringing more pain. So the mind says, I had enough pain, I want to shut down. So it starts rebelling from doing what you need to do because of the pain. Is this making sense, guys? Type yes in the chat if this is making sense, please, guys. I'm going to go back and I'm going to show my face now. Yes. So please share here if this is making sense, what I'm saying, of why people are falling into these rebellion states where they don't do what they need to do because they're fighting themselves. The mind says, I'm done. So they go back into this protective mode of not doing what you need to do, not doing what's best for you guys, okay? So the idea is to identify what is going on. It's the only way to be able to start making changes, guys. Give me 1 second that I gotta send something here. So here you go. I got somebody that is on social media, but she could be here. Cheryl, if you want, you can join as we're working one-on-one together. Cheryl, you can join on Zoom, okay? So the idea is to find the intention. what is behind this protective mechanism, and come with an exploration mind, with a loving mind, open heart, to see what is behind there. I'm feeling lonely. I'm feeling scared. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling shame. I'm feeling something negative. So I need to explore that. And so instead of forcing myself, going into a war within myself to be able to change something, that is going to bring more pain, less love, less understanding, and less support, guys. Support, love, and understanding. Those are the three main things that we need. If we're not supporting and understanding ourselves, we're not coming from a loving place. So whatever change you want to do, eventually, or you're going to need a lot of energy to change it, or eventually you're going to go back and you're going to fall into this rebellion state and you're not going to want to change. And this is what I want to share with you guys today. So you need to start exploring. How do I feel? Feel the emotions. Feel the negative emotions. Accept them. Don't fight them. Why do I feel this? Explore. Learn from that negative emotion. Why do I feel this? What is the negative story that is playing in your mind? And third, okay, how does this make me feel about myself? I have worked with a lot of people that struggle with food. So again, you know, I'm working with a guy right now that he felt not seen, not loved when he was a kid. So he associated that food would make him big, and by being big, he was going to be able to feel seen and feel loved. So he was eating out of compensating the lack of being seen and loved. So if I would have told him to stop eating by force, and that's what a lot of people teach, guys, imagine that you're going to die if you have that weight. If you're overweight, you're going to fall into, you know, diabetes, you're going to have a heart attack, you might have a stroke, and they stop out of fear. That wouldn't have really helped this guy, because this guy, if you think and look at this, guys, I'm going to make that comparison for you to really understand this, that beating somebody up because they're about to die, but they have cancer and they're still eating crap, or they had a stroke and they still eat crap, or they had a heart attack and they still eat crap. Look at this, guys. I'm going to ask a stupid question, but I want you to understand, because many times, you know, people look at their family in a bad way because they're not taking care of themselves, right? As they are being stupid because they're about to die, right? If they keep going down that road. Look at this, guys, that I'm going to ask you. Okay? What do you think is worst? This person is eating and you want them to stop eating. So you're telling them to stop feeling loved because they're going to die. So what do you think is worse for them? To die or to feel the pain of not feeling loved? What do you think is more important to them? For each person is different, but for the person that is not taking care of themselves, even though they had a heart attack, even though they had cancer, even though they had whatever, what is going to be worse for them? Not feeling loved or dying? And these people that they're not taking care of themselves, it's worse to not feel loved, as they don't want to not feel loved, and they had found a way through food to fill that gap up of feeling loved. They're not going to stop eating, even though it can kill them, guys. And they're not being, look at this, guys, because some people say it makes no sense. It's incoherent what they're doing. No, it is total coherent what they're doing. It is 100% coherent what they're doing. Why? Because they want to feel loved, guys. Death is not worse than not feeling loved, guys. Did that make sense? Type a 10 in the chat if that makes sense, guys, because it's very easy to fall into judgment, into criticism, into these people that are killing themselves, right? And not understanding that at the end of the day, what they need is love. The other day, I had this conversation with my mom about my son, that when my son starts misbehaving, normally what parents would do in the past is being really critic and judgment to them, saying like, oh, that is not allowed. Don't answer like that to grown-ups. Be, you know, where's your manners? And they would start treating that kid bad. But look at this, guys. If my son, by any chance, he felt disconnected for a little bit, He felt not love at that time or whatever. He felt frustrated. He was, look at this, the exact scene. He was building something and he started feeling frustrated because he couldn't put it together. So at that moment, he started disconnecting. So what he needed was an adult to support him, love him, understand him, to help him reconnect, to deal with what he was going through. But instead, he started acting bad, quote unquote, right? Being disrespectful to adults, quote unquote, and adults reacted back at him. What he needed was love, guys. So a person is trying to kill himself through cigarettes, through food, through whatever. What they need is love, not rejection, not judgment, not criticism. That's what we normally give them because we know that if they don't change, they're going to die. Instead, what they need is love, guys. It's important to recognize this because we think that we know better, that by treating them badly, but by telling them that if they keep eating, they're going to die. If they go down this road, they're going to die, whatever. That is loving. No, guys. No, guys. It is not loving. It is rejection. It is criticism. It is judgment. The opposite of what they need, guys. So now going back to you guys, how are you treating yourself, guys? Hey, Cheryl, thank you for coming in. You are not allowed to mute yourself right now as I do this speaking. And then in a little bit, I'm going to allow everybody to unmute and do some Q&A and stuff like that. So welcome here. Thank you, Cheryl, for being. I also thought about not wanting to be here because I didn't feel love for myself. So I totally get it. So if someone drinks, how would you help him stop? Being there for them. Hey, how are you feeling? Is there anything I can help you with? Being there with them. It's not easy, Romana, at all. The person needs to want to be helped. The person needs to want to be helped. If not, I can just be there supportive and be there beside them. And that's all I can do. And if they become, violent, aggressive, whatever, I can walk away and understand that this person is destroying them and I cannot do anything about it. Like I cannot help somebody that has drinking problems if the person doesn't want help, Romana. So just be there and be supportive and loving to that person. Maybe have conversations. Hey, I see that you might have some issues with food, with alcohol. Do you want to talk about that? And the person might say no. It is very difficult when it's a loved one, guys. But at least I know we're changing a little bit the subject, but it's not, because I want to bring this back to you guys. When you're doing something that doesn't seem loving to yourself, instead of beating yourself up, guys, what I want to invite you to do is to try to understand what's going on. What do I need? What am I protecting myself from? There you go, Romana. You said here, that's why I couldn't help my mom. Exactly. You cannot help somebody that doesn't want your help. I'm sorry, it hurts a lot. I know, but there's nothing you can do. Exactly. There's nothing we can do. And we got to learn how to be okay with that. Right? So again, going back to the pendulum, yes, is authoritarianism, permissiveness, right? Authoritarian permissiveness. I try to stand in the middle through love, understanding. Why am I going through what I'm going through? Why am I using food? Why am I using social media? How am I feeling? And what am I protecting? What am I protecting myself from? Yes, the idea is to be able to explore and understand, guys. If I don't explore and understand what's going on, I cannot change things. I'm going to fall into an authoritarian way. I'm going to push myself to try to change. But eventually what's going to happen, the pendulum is going to go boom, swing over to the other side, and we're going to fall into rebellion, and we're going to stop dieting. We're going to stop doing inner work. We're going to stop doing something because we're doing it from the wrong reason. I even have people, guys, that I work with, that they find themselves sometimes falling into authoritarian ways in this same work that we're doing. Today I was working with a woman, one of my clients, and she told me, "Oh, Tommy, I know that you told me I have to stop doing this." And I said, wait. I didn't tell you you have to stop doing this. I asked you, why are you doing this? Is this helping you? What are you protecting yourself from? And I did it in a much more loving way. But in her mind, after doing the work and feeling much better today, she was using that as, oh, I know I shouldn't think like this. And I told her, wait, no, stop. You're allowed to think like this. You're allowed to feel this way. That is unconditional love, guys. That is unconditional love. Loving you guys and loving myself, no matter what I did, how I think, how I feel. I hear so many people, and look, guys, it was amazing. The other day, I found a video from Mel Robbins. We have spoken about her a lot and how I believed in the past that she uses a lot of authoritarianism to make changes. The other day, she had a talk with a doctor that is an anxiety. He's also working as a psychologist, right? And he now helps people overcome anxiety. And the guy speaks very similar to the things that I teach. And Mel Robbins had a breakthrough when she said, wow, this is changing the way I think. I'm going to start treating myself and how to help others too, because I realized that I was shutting myself down when I was feeling negative, instead of really giving myself a hug and loving myself through that period. You see, guys, for the first time, guys, I saw Mel Robbins loving herself through a negative emotion, instead of shutting it up, you know, getting the critic and throwing the critic away. She, for the first time, and it blew my mind, because it was, I love it, because she's a very influential person. She has like 2 or 3 or 5 million followers in different channels, right? And listening to her sharing this was like, whoa, yes, this is what we need. We need more of this, guys. We need more of this. More love to others and more love to ourselves, guys. It's easier to be loving to others. So it's easier to go to somebody that's drinking or eating more than they should and be loving to them. It's going to be much more easier. It's going to be difficult to do it to ourselves. So whatever we're doing, whether it is social media, alcohol, drugs, numbing our pain with whatever, guys, love yourself through that. Understand that you're using that as a coping mechanism to protect yourself, to numb the pain, and that you need love, you need support, you need understanding. Through that perspective, guys, you're going to be able to change whatever you need to change. And I have to tell you this, guys, it's not going to happen overnight, but you're going to be able to start making changes. Every one of you guys have done some work with me and have seen some changes. Why? Because of the unconditional love, guys, from that intention of pure love to yourselves that allows you to change. That is the best way to make changes in our mind. When we come from pushing ourselves, authoritarianism, we're going to eventually fall into permissiveness. If we are in permissiveness and we start kicking ourselves, our butt to move, we're still being authoritarian. So it doesn't work in the long run normally, or it might work on the outside, guys. And this is important to realize, because you might say, but Tommy, I've seen people that kick themselves in the butt and they've seen changes. Yes, but eventually something is going to break, guys. Something is going to give up. They might start having diseases. They might have breakdowns. They might not show them. I have seen people out there, okay, some people that are in social media, that are affiliate marketers, that are coaches, that have had breakdowns because they were coming from the wrong reasons. So the idea is to be able to see where I'm standing, why I'm doing what I'm doing, explore, love the part of me that is doing something that is not so good for me, and from there, start working on changing. Thank you, Greg, for sharing that on social media. Thank you very much on Facebook. There you go. Greg was saying it happened to me that he had a breakdown. The idea is to come from a more loving place, guys. When we come from a more loving place, things start changing a little bit easier, not easy, easier, and a little bit, you know, you're going to start seeing those changes. And that's the idea. Easier and faster than traditional ways, because those traditional ways is that pendulum. We go authoritarianism, permissiveness, authoritarianism, permissiveness, authoritarianism, permissiveness, and we go balancing this way or the other, now be able to find the center. The center is found by loving and accepting what's happening and understanding that there's a protective mechanism that needs to be dissolved with love, understanding, and support. That's how we really make changes in our life. So telling people that to do is never a good idea. What to do? No, there you go, Romana. Suggest them what is good for them, but don't tell them what to do. I still feel I need to push through for the first 5 minutes of workout. Okay, there's something there to understand. I don't push myself to be but to start, okay, because not do it easier, off, and more comfortable. But that is the story you're telling yourself at a surface level, Romana. The idea is to try to go deeper to identify what is the true story you're telling yourself, okay? So again, thank you guys for listening to this new episode of, the RSR community, helping you guys with the mindset. If you're liking this, please share with more people. We need to get more of the word out, as now, Mel Robbins is doing this. We need more people to stand from their loving, from a loving place, loving intention, to be able to help themselves first of all, and to be able to help others. Because if we try to push others to do what we think is best, whatever, again, guys, if a person is feeling empty and is eating to feel full, not to feel so as so that they don't feel unloved, and I tell them that it's best to stop eating, that's not in their best interest. Look at this, guys. Telling somebody to stop eating because it's in their best interest for their body, it's not the best interest for their mind, because they have associated that eating is good to feel full, to feel some love. So it goes against what they think in here. So it's not going to happen, guys. So it's not about trying to force them to do what's best for them, even health-wise, because it's not going to help. It's supporting and loving them and trying to help them understand why they're doing what they're doing. And then back to us, why am I doing what I'm doing? That is going to really start making changes, guys. This is the trick. If you ask me, Tommy, what is the biggest trick that does the work with what you do, is unconditional love, guys. Unconditional love breaks any barrier in the mind. Seriously. This is what I've been practicing for the last 14 years for myself and to be able to share with others. And this is what opens the mind, guys. When you guys reveal things that you're not even aware of, that you never thought about it, that you never knew were there in your mind, they come out because there's an unconditional environment here where I'm not going to judge you, criticize, no matter what you tell me. Even if you tell me that you're in alcohol, that you're in drugs, that you use sex, you use porn, that you use whatever to try to feel good about yourself, I'm not going to judge you. I'm going to support and love you through this. And this is what really opens the mind, guys. Unconditional love. The rest just closes off, represses, and ignores. And that is not really making changes. It's just suppressing. So I hope it makes sense. I hope you enjoyed this. Send me an 100 in the chat if you like this, guys. 100 in the chat if you like this. I'm not sure I even know what real unconditional love is. Cheryl, thank you for sharing that. Normally, we don't know what it is because we didn't experience it. So I invite you to be open. There you go. I'm looking for the right words. To be open to experience some of it working together. Okay, that's the idea, guys. So thank you very much. If you're watching on social media, I'm going to end now the transmission on social media. I appreciate Greg and everybody else that I've saw some names there. Darlene, thank you for stopping by. If you're there, let me know. And Regina, if you're still watching, let us know. Again, guys, the more you interact with this stuff over here, the more it gets viral, it gets more people. I wish this would get to more and more people, because if more people understand this different point of view of dealing with their mindset, with their unresolved issue, with their addictions, with whatever negative behaviors, it's going to make it much easier for them to change. And that's the idea why I'm doing this, guys, to try to impact the life of more people around the world. So thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you around next time. And I'm going to end here, guys, I'm going to stay here on Facebook. So thank you again. See you around, guys. So the people here on Zoom, give me one. Yeah. Gotta stop.